Today I want to talk about why I think the COVID vaccine, the way that the COVID vaccine has been discussed in the mainstream media, builds or contributes to distrust in the mainstream media. Bear with me. I'm not an anti-masker, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I do have something to say about anti-maskers, which is that I don't think they're anti-mask for the reasons that most people do. I think people are, everyone who uses a smartphone or the TV or a microwave believes in technology. A freaking mask that is a filter between my face and yours is obviously going to block particles. I don't think that most anti-maskers are anti-mask because they don't believe in science. So I think that that's something that I'd like to dispute with mainstream liberals, let's say. But I want to talk specifically about the vaccine, and I'll tell you the story. I do this a lot of sauna. I do cold water and I do hot sauna at this gym that's just down the road. Climb into the sauna and I usually wear a mask, even though I think it's actually too hot for COVID to survive. I just want to be careful. There's a man in there, and he said, "Well, hey, I actually got a vaccine." So I said, "Oh, well, I'll take my mask off." He said, "Well, actually, you still could get it." Turns out this guy is an ER doc, so I'm not telling the story the best way, but he's an ER doc, he got vaccinated, and that got me wondering, why is it he's saying he got vaccinated but I can still get it? So I did some digging. It turns out when they say the vaccine is 95% effective, it does not mean, all that means is that you are 95% likely to not experience symptoms. But it says nothing about your ability to still get the virus and transmit it to others. So all it means literally is that you're just not going to physically feel sick. Now, I guess what I should say is that the research is still out. They don't know if you can transmit it or not. What I really dislike, though, is the fact that as somebody who reads a lot of news, reads a lot of mainstream media, I thought that the 95% effective vaccine, the way that they present it as get the vaccine, it's a patriotic thing to do, protect your family, protect your community. I thought this vaccine would not only protect you, it would protect the people around you. And all of a sudden, it turns out that that may not actually be the case. So that to me is bothersome, to say the least, right? It is equitable to, it's similar to the way that masks, and I want to go back to masks, where initially they said you wear the mask not just to protect, a lot of people were saying you wear the masks not to protect yourself, but to protect others. And I just ask, why would the mask not protect you? Like, of course it's protecting them and it's protecting you. And the way it was sold like that, to me, was just so strange. And the same thing goes to the vaccine. As it turns out, the best research that is currently available says that you will personally be less likely to feel symptoms. So you get the vaccine so that you don't feel sick, so that you don't die, so that you don't overload the hospitals. And that's really the biggest externality, positive externality, is that you're not overloading the hospitals, the healthcare system. One of the dangers of the vaccine, and I do believe it works, I do believe in mRNA, I think the technology behind it is really interesting from what little that I can understand as a lay person. But for me, it's like, I just feel like we are inundated with so much information in the world that the least the mainstream media could do is get the best information and package it clearly so that we know, why are we truly taking this vaccine? Moreover, if the vaccine's job is truly just to prevent you from having symptoms, there is a high percentage of people who have COVID who develop immunity so that they don't feel symptoms if they are reinfected later. Reinfection is possible, from as far as I understand. But the way that it's all just being presented to me is just trying to get good light for you guys. It's just unpleasant. I think it's certainly less than ideal. It also has me wondering, right? The U.S. government. Oh, this is just turning into a disaster. The U.S. government is buying hundreds of millions of vaccines from Big Pharma. And I just think, like, they're buying vaccines for people who who may not need vaccines because they've already had COVID. Now they say like, well, you still might want to take it again, but then they're not presenting the case well for why you would want to take the vaccine regardless. It's not super coherent. I'm just gonna end this video here, cut my losses. But basically, do your research about the vaccine. I do think that it works. I do think it is effective, but I think that the positive benefits of it, especially in terms of protecting your family and your community, are being oversold. Not in the fact that they're not true, but the fact that they're not necessarily true and that they just don't know yet. And I just wish that I just think that if the mainstream media or if people in general wanted to be taken more credibly, that they should give you the true, honest version, both the positives and negatives and the clear we don't knows. And I think a very good example of this is, again, go to the New York Times, and I'm a big reader of the New York Times, a big fan, but they have this article, what does 95% effective vaccine mean? And if you read it, it is extremely convoluted. It is really hard to get this information out of it. And I just think like, either this is bad writing, or there's something, more to it. And in either way, it's not good, so. That's my reflection for today. Hopefully the next one will be a little bit more coherent. Live hard and live well.